Can I have your attention, please? If we can get the doors closed for anybody that's around those doors, I would greatly appreciate it from the outside noise. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. All right, we're going to call this meeting of the Senate Public Safety Committee to order. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Before we get started, we're going to welcome a brand-new committee member, our very own Senator Tim Bearden. Very excited to have him on the committee, and we got a standing ovation in the back. All right, come on. There we go, as it should be. Great background. Why don't you just take a minute and give a little bit about your background, Senator, because I think you're so appropriate in this committee. I'll turn up your microphone there.
Perfect for the committee. So Tim Bearden, now may know me from the State House from when I was elected back in 2004. Spent approximately 20 years in law enforcement. Left the House when Governor Dill appointed me to be the executive director of the Georgia Public Safety Training Center. I think while I was sleeping, wife hit me in the head, woke up, decided to run for state senate, and we got elected. So I've been here about 2.5 weeks now since the special election. Looking forward to serving on the committee with all the members, and appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you. We're excited to have your great background, and rumor on the street says you're fully housebroken now. Is that true? All right. We're going to get started as we normally do, and I'm just going to put her on the spot and ask my friend, Senator Kim Jackson, if she'd open us up in a word of prayer.
Sure, thank you. Let us pray. We pause this day to give thanks for a new day, for opportunities to gather with one another. We give special thanks and pray for blessings upon all of our friends who serve in uniform, be that our military, our EMTs, our firefighters, and law enforcement. We ask special blessings upon them. We also ask that you would guide us in our decision-making this day. May we help make Georgia a safer place for all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to have 4 bills that we're going to be hearing today. I just want to give everybody a quick rundown. We have, obviously, the meeting now. We will have a meeting next week on both Wednesday and again on Thursday. We will have that agenda out early next week, and we will be sure to get any substitutes out ahead of time. Yeah, I'm going to recognize Senator Jackson.
Thank you. I did want to take an opportunity to just publicly apologize to the chairman for me not seeing the email in which you sent me the subs. I know I said in the committee yesterday, whenever we were together again, that I hadn't received the subs in advance. And so I just want to publicly apologize and thank your team for getting those to us in advance.
Thank you, Senator. You are an extraordinary member of this committee. You always are so thoughtful, and you really have helped to perfect so many bills. And you know what? We'll all continue to do our best to communicate effectively. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I like the new glasses, too. All right. So we're going to start with House Bill 1100. We've got Representative New. Why don't you come on down to the podium so all the folks watching from home can see you? I appreciate you bringing this bill forward. And I just want to confirm as we begin the LC number. And I'm reading off of LC 394235S. Do you have the same version?
That is correct.
All right, and I think you're bringing some backup assistance there, too. And I apologize, I forgot to mention anybody who wants to speak for or against the bills here, there's a sign-up sheet right there. My rule is pretty simple. If you fill the whole thing out, you get to talk. If you miss a spot, you don't. So we'll go from there, and I'll turn it back to you, Representative.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today about HB 1100. This is an agency bill for the Department of Revenue Motor Vehicles. Joining me today is Austin Gibbons. He's the Director of External Affairs for Department of Revenue. This bill does 4 things. It allows for the Department of Revenue and the Department of Driver Services to send electronic notices to customers who opt in. So it's just an option. If you want to receive emails, you can. Customers who wish to receive paper notices will still do so. This is just an option for people that prefer emails. Number 2, it clarifies that all vehicles titled to government entities will have a plate labeling it is a government vehicle. This does not apply to law enforcement, and this is for transparency of tax dollars. The third thing it does, it allows trailers to be included in the definition of fleet for vehicles that can have their registrations renewed in bulk. Currently, 100 motor vehicles are needed to qualify for that fleet status. We're talking like U-Haul, Avis, that sort of company. And the fourth thing it does is provide statutory authority for the Department of Revenue to allow electronic transfer of titles. So this will set the foundation for e-titling in the future for Georgia. That's what this bill does, and I'll take any questions at this time.
Excellent synopsis. Thank you for your work, as well as Austin and the entire Department of Revenue. Are there questions for the bill's author? Got a question from Senator Bearden.
Earlier today, I thought you told me this was a one-page bill.
It was originally a one-page bill.
A little inside joke. Sorry.
All right.
Had to do it.
I've got a question from Senator Jackson.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative, I just have a question about the registration, the tag for vehicles that are for the municipalities. I know this came up in the House. Have you all given thought to how we better protect those who are in state-owned vehicles where a tag could bring kind of road rage or just unnecessary or unwanted attention? Can you speak to how you've already thought about the ways to protect folks?
Thank you for the question. It's a great question. I understand that there can be, and we understand that there can be extenuating circumstances that happen, because it happens, because that's the business that we're in. There is an existing law in this code that already that protects us. And so it's here. It is Code 40-2-37. And so it will protect you. And if you do have issues like the one that came up, then you can, of course, it will be overridden and you will be protected.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
that
question.
Excellent and clarifying question and answer.
It is.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, other questions from the committee members? Seeing none, the time is appropriate. Senator Jackson?
I'd like to make a motion to pass on HB 1100, LC 394235S.
I've got a motion on the bill. Do I have a second? I've got a second from Senator Goodman. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Passed unanimously. Best of luck in the Rules Committee. And who's carrying this fine bill for you?
Thank you. I believe you are,
I
sir.
think you're right. Okay, just making sure.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Y'all
My
have a great
pleasure.
day.
Thank you. Okay, next up. Well, you know, I think I have to bring up my favorite House Public Safety Chairman, Representative Jay Collins. A little concerned, though, because for some reason his name is not on the qualifying list for those that are going to try and join us next year. So
Let it be heard, let it be said, let it be written. I will not be here next year.
I'm just afraid in 2 years from now you're going to run against my favorite Senator Tim Bearden.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Well, you were at the time. That's true. Yes. All right. Okay, Mr. Chairman, we're going to look at House Bill 1239, and just want to make sure we're reading from the same LC. That's 394341S.
Okay.
Is
That's
that
what
correct?
I got.
All
Yes,
right.
That's correct.
Take it away, sir.
So this started out as a very simple piece of legislation to allow what we have come to know in this state and in this country as these small Japanese mini vehicles, the key vehicles. Last year over in the House, we had a bill that enabled ATVs to be on our county city streets or county roads in certain areas. And I had several constituents reach out to me over the interim because they have had these small Japanese mini vehicles, and DOR, through some miscommunication, had started allowing these vehicles to have a tag and be on our roads. And that had been going on for some time. And then last year, from what I understand, DOR made a call to all the tag offices throughout the state and said, that's not what we need to be doing. Pull those back. So you have a lot of these vehicles that have been on our streets for a number of years, and now they're not permissible. And all we want to do in this legislation is to allow those vehicles to be able to be on county and city streets as long as those local governments don't prohibit that. We have golf carts on city streets where you have the speed limit less than 35 miles an hour, where you have cities that are allowing those. My thought behind this was these vehicles, in many instances, have airbags. They already have, factory-installed seat belts. They have windshields, windshield wipers. Some of them even have air conditioning. You have turn signals. They're what they are. They're a mini vehicle. And so the gist of the lion's share of this piece of legislation deals with that. But this week, Austin Gibbons, he's here, and a lot of folks from DOR are here with us today. They brought an issue to me because at this time during the legislative session, it's shopping season, and people are shopping for bills to attach language to. They came to me with some underlying issues that they've been having with tags and issuing these temporary tags, drive-off tags, if you will, and some issues that we've had, some people that are not being good actors, and they wanted to present to me and this committee some additional language in this bill to allow them to do that. I'm going to call on Austin right now, if I could, and his team. They'll come up and present the other portions of the bill. Section 1 of my bill is the underlying bill. Section 2 and 3 reorganize Code Sections 40-20-8 and 8.1. The rules for motor vehicle owners to timely register their vehicles are grouped together in Code Section 40-2-8. The rulers for dealers responsible for issuing drive-off tags to customers' temporary operating permits are consolidated now in Sections 40-2 through 8.1. We talked to our legislative council. We provide for rules for the Department of Revenue to improve their system of tracking TOPs and controlling their distribution to prevent abuse. They're going to share with you some information that was mind-blowing to me, how this TOP program is being abused by some bad actors. And so I'm going to turn the portion now over to them to explain some of this bill and let you understand a little bit more in depth as to the need for this. So Austin, if you would like to come forward.
Thank you, Chairman Collins, Chairman Albers, and members of the Public Safety Committee. My name is Austin Gibbons. I serve as Director of External Affairs and Communications for the Department of Revenue. I am joined by Jairus Peoples, who is one of our investigators that works on temporary operating permit abuse, as well as Matt Christie, our staff attorney, who also serves as Commissioner O'Connell's delegate to the Used Car Board. So we are very, very, very committed to cracking down on abuse of temporary operating permits. So these are, in layman's terms, your temporary plates that you get when you go to a dealership and you buy a car and you drive off the lot and you wait on your standard metal plate. But unfortunately, there are criminal actors who have found ways throughout the last several years to print fraudulent temporary operating permits to mask other criminal activity. We get calls from New York fairly frequently. I believe that Commissioner Moore at DDS, who serves as the national president of AMBA, international president of AMVA, he was approached by his colleague in New York at the most recent conference saying that their biggest issue, unfortunately, is fraudulent temporary operating permits coming from the state of Georgia. And we want to be the number one state to do business and the number one state in a whole lot of things, but we don't want to be the number one state in temporary operating permit abuse. And so that's what we're trying to do in this bill. We know there are bigger policy conversations out there about who can have access to these tops. We are very supportive of continuing to have those conversations. I know that the House has a study committee resolution that we're supportive of, but right now the bill before you today pretty simply allows us to go into the drive system and turn off access for individuals who we might suspect are bad actors. Now, these are not folks, if you issue one more top than we show cars you sold, that's not really going to be flagged. But if you say you sell 1,000 TOPs in a day and you haven't sold 1,000 TOPs in 10 years, we're going to take a look at that. And so I'm going to turn it over to Agent Peoples to talk a little bit more. He's given some presentations in the House about this issue, and so he can talk a little bit more about kind of where we see some of the criminal actors. And then Matt and I, as well as Lorraine and Robert from our General Counsel and our Motor Vehicle Division Director, are ready to answer any questions on the legal language before you today.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Jairus Peoples. I'm a special agent with the Georgia Department of Revenue Office of Special Investigations. My primary duty has been assigned to the Auto Crimes Unit for the state of Georgia. Before COVID, we more or less had some issues as far as the beginning series of criminal activity using the temporary operating permits within the state of Georgia, and those were easy enough to track, and it was all easy enough to make contact with these individuals that were violating the temporary operating permits. But kind of after COVID, we saw an increase. Our systems and also the Secretary of State saw an increase in applications for small businesses, for used car business dealerships. And with that being said, a lot of the criminal activity took place as far as unauthorized and issuance of the temporary operating permits. Usually it's 45 days, and after that, that person is supposed to be sent to the local or county tag office for whatever reason may be and get another one. But we've seen multiple temporary operating permits issued on the same vehicle, and these vehicles have been used in a large scale of criminal activity. I'm constantly in contact with FBI agents, DEA, local city county agencies throughout the state and across the United States, trying to track down these people that are using the vehicles for criminal activity in not only Georgia but across the United States. And we're trying to get access now where we can more or less, if we suspect these individuals that are doing the criminal activity, just an opportunity to shut them access off until they can be further investigated. And we can, if it's a legit sales, and like Austin was saying, then they're fine. But if they can't provide paperwork or some sort of documentation that a true and accurate sale occurred, then we'll deal with it accordingly.
Thank you, Agent Peoples, not just for your testimony, but also for your service. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Anyone else?
And I'll just add that, mistakes happen, and we get that, and that's why there are appeal rights in this bill. And Matt can answer some of those questions, but, we'll stand ready to answer any questions of the committee and ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you for the testimony. Let me begin with Chairman Collins. I appreciate you bringing this forward. I think it's important that we put a wrapper around this and done things the right way, but it's also community specific. So thank you for bringing the original bill forward, but also being magnanimous enough to help our friends, Department of Revenue, to also solve this problem at the same time. I'm going to ask if there's any questions from the committee members, if that's okay.
One more thing I'd like to add is that we had conversations with the used car dealers. I think my friend Mo Thrash is in the room, and we talked with them and got their blessing, because we know there are a lot of people that rely on this for their livelihood. And one of the things I really appreciated about what DOR is there's due process. If there are accidents that happen and mistakes that are made, they can go to DOR and appeal that, and they can appeal their decision too. So there are check downs in this measure to make sure that good people aren't penalized for mistakes.
Thank you. Are there questions from the committee members? All right, I'm looking at my form here just to check. I don't see anybody signed up in this bill, although I did realize that my friend and former Secretary of State Louis Massey had signed up for the last bill, but it passed, so I'm going to guess you're still good. So, questions from committee members? Got a question from Senator Halpern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe this is less of a question, but I just wanted to say this issue of these tags, these fraudulent tags, was something that I was made aware of about a year ago, so I know it's a big issue. And I appreciate what you're trying to do here to really put some wraps around it. And from what I understand, like we've got used car dealerships that operate longer hours. It's just much harder to keep people who do mean poorly, to keep them from printing fake tags and people buy them on the black market. I know that you mentioned that you've talked with the used car dealerships before and they're supportive, which is great. Thank you. No question. Thank you for this. I wonder if we should contemplate coming back and adding some more other layers on top of this to make sure that we're able to do, I mean, I don't want to change the fine, but I mean, from what I understand, our fines have been relatively low, so they're not really keeping people from engaging in that illegal activity.
In my conversations with DOR, there's bigger plans, but this is something that we can adopt now.
Yeah.
And in the interim, we
Yes.
can go after some of these bad actors and
Yeah.
deal with that right now. Gives them the tools and resources necessary.
I appreciate that, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the committee members? Seeing none, what is the will of the committee? We've got a motion due pass from Senator Halpern, and that's going to be House Bill 1239, LC 394341S. Is there a second? Senator Goodman beat you to the punch. Any further discussion from the committee members? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say no. Passes unanimously. Best wishes in the Rules Committee, and who's carrying this bill?
Thank you. Senator Bearden, would you be willing to carry my bill for me over there?
Welcome to the committee, Senator. All right.
And Mr. Chairman, I would like to say one more point of personal privilege. It's always been a pleasure to work with you and advance public safety measures for the legislative body. I'm going to miss coming to see you, and best wishes to you and your committee in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It goes both ways. You've done an extraordinary amount of service for this state, and definitely not forgotten. We're going to call on you for help.
Thank you.
Have a great day. All right, we're going to move on to House Bill 1188. My good friend, Representative Jody Lott, always brings some of the best bills in front of our committee.
Yes, some of
All
the
right.
bills that you helped me write. Thank you so much.
Now let's keep it down over there. Order. I just want to make sure we're on the same LC before we begin. I've got LC 394347S.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
So this is HB 1188. There are now two sections to this bill, and in Section 1, we are allowing GIPSTIC to establish a post-certified law enforcement unit. In this legislation, GIPSTIC Law Enforcement Unit will enforce laws on property controlled by the Georgia Public Safety Training Center and enforce state laws when called upon by the governor or requested by a sheriff or police chief specifically. In Section 2, this is current code in Georgia, is if a law enforcement officer is hired by another agency within 15 months after completing formal training, then the hiring agency will reimburse the cost of training that officer back to the original agency. This bill does two things that are new within code. It changes the reimbursement requirement from the 15 months to 36 months, and that's at line 48 in the bill. And then at line 65, we did change line 65, which current code was up to 30 days of salary paid during the time the peace officer participated in training, and we have now made that 60 days, up to 60 days.
Thank you for working with the chiefs of police and other organizations in order to have everybody feel comfortable in working together. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
All right. Questions for the bill's author from Senator Bearden.
Will this allow to enforce at all 8 regional locations as well as the main training center in Forsyth?
If the property is controlled by GIPSTIC,
One other question.
yes.
On the reimbursement, you see this a lot in rural areas where someone may leave and go to a different agency. Would this cause a hardship to possibly a rural agency that's short on cash to having to reimburse another agency?
So what's happening now, and I'll give you, I would like you brought something, bringing that up made me think of one other thing. This does not affect the police officer themselves. So this is an agency payment to another agency. So the agencies are on board with this. It was brought to me from Sheriff's Association, and some of the sheriffs and chiefs of police are on serving on a board now where they came up with this legislation as well. And they are asking for it because there's a great risk to them by bringing in an officer, and this is rural and urban, bringing in an officer and performing all of that training, and then them being basically poached from another agency. So it works both ways. They get protected, and they protect their investment.
I just know we have some agencies out there that may have 4 or 5 officers on their whole force, and just making sure that budgetary-wise, they weren't going to be hurt or affected, but you said both sheriffs and the Police Chief Association was supportive.
Supportive. And if you're rural and make that investment, then they are taken by maybe a larger agency somewhere else, that reimbursement goes back to that rural agency. And I do think that that is almost a better situation for them.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. I do want to make a clarification because I see Georgia Sheriff Association here. They had a request on the original bill for GIPSTIC to have their additional powers here. And we did integrate that into this bill, specifically where it says they can be ordered by the governor or requested by a sheriff of a county or a police chief. So I just want to make sure that everybody knew that we had integrated those thoughts so you'd be comfortable with that legislation. Other questions from the committee members? Seeing none, what is the will of the committee? All right, I've got a motion from Senator Jones to pass. I've got a second from Senator Jackson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. Passes unanimously.
So Chairman Collins stole my thunder, but I was going to see if Senator Tim Bearden would carry this legislation for me as well.
I think,
I was trying to stay out of the well this year. And,
No. No chance.
for a gentleman who used to actually run GIPSTIC, I can't think of anybody more appropriate
I
than him.
cannot.
Oh, wait, well, hang on. We got something from Senator
I just want to thank you, Representative Lott, and Chairman Collins, for the opportunity that y'all are giving us to haze the new senator
Yes.
in the well. So,
that's why I was trying to stay out of the well this year. So.
and the chairman of public safety is great at it. So,
I support it. All right.
Would the senator be willing?
Thank you very much,
you.
Senator. First committee meeting, and now you know why we got you here. Putting you
Thank you
right
to the
work.
committee.
All right, thank you very much. I am looking at our sign-in sheet, and I see David from GPBI. You sign up to speak for House Bill 1105. That is not here today. We can talk. That we'll look at a future calendar, see if that's going to come forward. All right, so the last, but certainly not least, we have got our very own House Bill 1303. Come on down, Representative Stinson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. I present to you House Bill 1303, LC 394327S.
Perfect.
And this is a special license plate promoting certain worthy agencies, funds, nonprofit organizations with proceeds dispersed to the general fund and the agency. Preferably special license plate honoring the Shepherd Center to provide funds to the Shepherd Center Incorporation. The Shepherd Centers will be celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, and so this license plate will certainly help them raise funds for all the great work that they do to help Georgians and other people across this country that comes to the Shepherd Center for help after experiencing a spinal cord injury or a brain injury. So, and I know there's been some other license plates added to this amendment, so, but this is pretty much the bill for the Shepherd Center.
Thank you so much, Representative. I appreciate you bringing this forward. As typical, we get a lot of license plates requests. I think we're a little over 400. However, the process in Georgia is that it doesn't cost the taxpayers any dollars.
Right.
We have to have a certain amount of people who sign up for those license plates in order to make sure the state is revenue neutral. And in some cases, those plates actually bring revenue either to the state or sometimes to one of the folks that are helping to sponsor that plate. So I appreciate you bringing it forward and allowing a few people to hitch a ride, if you don't mind, on your bill. So with that, we've got a couple people signed up, but are there questions for the bill's author before we get there?
And I just want to make sure the committee knows that we do have a letter from the Georgia Department of Revenue relating to revenue sharing. So all of that's been approved. We do have that support.
Yes, thank you very much for pointing that out. Any questions for Representative Stinson? I got a question from Senator Jackson.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. And this may be more for whoever caught a ride here, but I just want to know, do the other 3 plates that are added on here, do they also have all of the checks and balances with the DOR? those been checked out already?
They do, and actually, two of those bills actually already passed out of the committee. And what happens is because we have so many license plate bills, rather than passing 4 or 5 pieces of legislation, we usually wrap them up. We do the same thing for road naming bills in order to, again, encapsulate those into a single one. But yes, good question. Okay, I'm not seeing any more. We got a couple people signed up to speak. If you wouldn't mind yielding the podium, we have got Representative Viola Davis. Come on down. Always glad to have you here at our committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am here because I'm trying to understand the overall process. As you stated before, when it comes to these license plates and revenue sharing, and they want you to have a certain number of license plates, such as 1,000, I'm looking at an organization that has over 3,000. And then they said that they want to make sure that with the revenue sharing, the membership pays extra with the thought that the money would go to help whatever cause that they're buying that specialty plate for. And a number of the organizations that I have seen and I have researched particularly focus on underserved and under-resourced areas. And being a critical care nurse and a veteran, I mean, I am absolutely behind the Shepherd Center because, I mean, being a veteran, and a nurse, I've taken care of a number of people who are in need. So for them to have a specialty plate, I am rejoicing over. But I'm trying to think, how is it that we can better do justice for other organizations that are doing good work and trying to do the revenue sharing? Because right now it seems to be some difference in the way that it is applied. And I want to stand up here and say that I need to really look and see.
Sure.
Maybe it's something that I missed.
Well, first, thank you for your service. We sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Certainly serving us in the armed forces as well as in the medical field. Would love to help you go through that. When new license plates are created, typically they will either put in that there is a revenue sharing model or not. That's up to the bill's author when they pass the plates. But I know my good friends sitting over on the wall in the Department of Revenue could probably work with you to get a list. And then depending on each group, then you could come back and offer either a single bill with a lot or individual bills for those organizations to create that model, so long as, DOR signs off as they do on all these other license plates. So that is the process. And if someone didn't do that originally and feels like it'd be a benefit and we can pass that, then I would be honored to help you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I did speak with him, and he was pretty much saying that a lot of the things that we did were in line. So I'll just follow up and see what else may be behind. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And then we've got Miss Abigail Thompson, if you'd come on down.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Abigail Thompson, and I'm Director of Government Relations and Advocacy for the Shepherd Center. So we want to thank Representative Stinson for sponsoring this legislation. We're very grateful. We are seeking a revenue-sharing specialty license plate, and I'm just speaking to the Shepherd Center portion of House Bill 1303. We are a catastrophic injury hospital, so we specialize in the treatment of spinal cord injury and traumatic brain injuries, as well as multiple sclerosis and other neuromuscular conditions. We could not do what we do without the generous support of our donors, and allowing a split with the state of Georgia and the local county office in Shepherd will help us to continue doing our mission. We treat patients from all across the state, but we also attract an equal number of patients from across the country. So the patients that are visiting more than 60 miles from Atlanta, we provide housing at no cost to them. So again, any revenue generated from this specialty license plate will fully go back to support the services and benefits of our patients and their families. So just really appreciate you hearing the bill. Happy to answer any questions and would ask for your favorable passage of House Bill 1303.
Thank you, Abigail. I appreciate it. Seeing none. All right. Representative, come on back down. Are there any further questions for the bill's author?
I would just like to make another comment, if I
Please,
may,
close-
just to
close
add
away.
on to what Ms. Thompson has stated, for the members to know. Shepherd Center, I'm very honored to be able to carry this legislation because I know personally the great work that they do and the amenities that they provide to families that are 60 miles away. Because in 21, when my late husband was a patient, a resident of the Shepherd Center, during the legislative session, I was able to be here in session because the Shepherd Center provided us with housing and care for him so that I could be here and take care of the work of the state of Georgia, while they provided excellent care and service for my late husband at that time. So I just wanted to share why this is so very important to me, and I certainly ask for your favorable consideration for this license plate in honor of the Shepherd Center's 50th anniversary.
Thank you for sharing that very personal and heartfelt part of that. It makes it even more special.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the bill's author? All right. What is the will of the committee? I got a motion to pass from Senator Jones. Do I have a second? I got a second from Senator Jackson. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. It passes unanimously. Do we have a carrier in the Senate for this license plate bill?
I would like to ask of one at this time, if I may.
Okay. And who are you asking?
Well, would you be kind, sir, to?
I would, but I have a suggestion for if
Okay,
you want to, because
sure.
out of all these license plates, there's a lot of folks that had one,
Uh-huh.
and only because I'm carrying 24 bills currently.
Uh-huh.
If you wouldn't mind, I would give it to either Senator Sean Still, who's one of the license plates, or somebody else in the committee who you might feel comfortable with.
Anyone on this committee, on this distinguished committee, I would be honored to have them carry this
They
this
are all
legislation
agreeing
for
that
me.
that Senator Sean Still would be great for doing that.
Okay.
So thank you. We'll add his name. And again, thank you for sharing both this bill as well as your personal story with us.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. So I'm going to do a quick housekeeping for the committee. I have to recognize a good friend, former state representative in the back, Mr. Scott Turner. We're glad to have you here today. Always want to recognize our elected officials, and obviously we did for our former Secretary of State, Louis Massey. Next week, we will have our normal meeting times, both on Wednesday and Thursday. A couple of the bills on Wednesday are going to be hearing-only bills. I will let you know ASAP. We will get the committee subs. We'll talk about those. We'll probably time box them because some of them might have some folks that are passionate about those bills, but that is going to be hearings only, so I want to make sure everybody understands that one. And I promise to get back every information I can. If you need anything from me, you please let me know. And this meeting will be adjourned upon a motion to adjourn. So moved? We will get you a calendar, Senator Bearden. All right, all in favor of adjournment, please say aye. All opposed, please say no. Passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Have a great day.